Hi everyone, welcome back to another awesome talk today with Phil Royston and Marcel Veselka. We had Phil yesterday already in our opening keynote, but in case you missed it, Phil started his career in software testing in 2002 and is since a software testing enthusiast. He furthermore co-founded Tesena in 2013, a software testing service provider based in Prague. Currently, he holds the position of the CEO in his company. And furthermore, we have Marcel. He's his co-founder. He's basically the other co-founder of Tesena. So I guess we have the complete founding board here. Furthermore, he's the co-founder of Protest and ex-vice president and supporting member of the Czech and Slovak testing board. Today, they will talk about test automation monsters, and I think I can personally relate to that. So really excited to have you to have this talk. It's a pre-recorded talk, but we will have a live Q&A session after the recording. And now we will start the recording. Enjoy, and I will see you in the Q&A session.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to our presentation about test automation monsters. My name is Marcel Veselka, and I'm here with Phil Royston.
You've ruined the joke. The joke was you should talk about how you're interested in test automation for 20 minutes.
Okay,
and
so
then I should say I know nothing about it.
Okay.
That was the best part of the whole conference.
Okay, so once more. Hello and welcome. Welcome to our talk about test automation monsters. My name is Marcel Veselka, and I'm very passionate about test automation, and I believe you will be enjoying our talk about this topic with us.
Hi, my name's Phil, and I know nothing about it.
Okay, so we'll try to do our best, and I'll involve Phil to the talk, so hopefully it'll be fun. And as usual, every presentation needs to have some agenda, so these are our 3 points we would like to share with you. One is welcome you to our Screen Factory, then talk about our daily scares, and then tell you something about the future, how it will look like. So welcome to the Screen Factory. So what we are doing here, Phil?
Oh, okay. Why are we talking about test automation? Okay. Big picture. Why we're talking about test automation? What's the driver for this whole conversation that's going on in testing? It's digitalization. And I know this sounds a little bit boring now. We've been talking about digitalization for a long time, but I think the change now has been shifting from we've been talking about digitalization to it's actually happening. One of the problems is that nobody really knows what digitalization actually is. It used to be about turning your photographs from negatives into a digital image, but now it's a word that's covering absolutely anything. So even though that we don't really know what it is, there are some key drivers for this digital transformation. And the first one that's talked about most often, I think, is customer experience. So what we're trying to do is bring products and services closer to our clients. So instead of having to go to a branch to open a bank account, you actually can do it online. Instead of paying your bills by going to the post office, as we used to in the old days, you can actually do everything online. So it's to make the customer experience more pleasant. The second reason is to improve business competitiveness. And this is probably the biggest driver, because if you think about why many companies are now doing a digital transformation, it's because of competition. You know, if you take the big stories, for example, Netflix killed off the video store, Spotify killed off the music industry, the traditional music shops, Amazon killed bookstores, and so forth. So you've got these big new digital players who come along and completely disrupt the market, and the traditional players are really having to catch up. I think that even the latest example is the car manufacturers, the traditional car manufacturers, now really having to do a hell of a lot to try and catch up with Tesla. Tesla came along; it's basically a software company, and they started disrupting the auto business And therefore, companies like Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen having to work really, really hard to catch up. And the final probably driver for digital transformation is fear, because there's a lot of consultancy companies going around saying, you know, all your competitors are way ahead. They're all doing these exciting things and you're not doing anything and you're falling behind. So a lot of businesses are jumping into digitalization because they're convinced that everybody else is way ahead and they're a long way behind. So digital transformation, that's the big driver behind it. And what does it mean? So digitalization actually, first of all, means we had to change the way we do our work. And the first step in that journey, if you'd like to change slides, Marcel, is that we, 15 to 20 years ago, I can't remember how long ago now, the Agile Manifesto, let's do things in an iterative way, in a more cooperative way, meant that we were in these shorter cycles. The big waterfall projects lasted several years. There was no real argument there to automate, but once you start doing an iterative process, then you start repeating things much more often, and you repeat them much more frequently. So really people started thinking about, you know, we're doing this thing over and over again, so let's try and automate it. And then we moved in the past few years into DevOps, which I find really quite exciting. And in DevOps, the key word is automate everything. Yeah? We try and automate everything. And what does this mean? Well, the bosses upstairs are asking for they're asking for more speed because the competition is tough. If you've got some innovative idea, you have to get it to market really, really fast. And if you get it to market really, really fast, then you have to be careful about the quality, because if it doesn't work, and on the App Store or on the Play Store, you get only a few star ratings, then your killer product or killer idea is actually dead. And what that actually means for us is more screening, because it's generating more work and more things that are creating difficulty and scares, I would say, in our lives. So the result is that these days, people are saying that in high performance teams, these super DevOps teams which are out there, they're saying that manual testing is a bottleneck. Actually, testing is a bottleneck to actually achieving more speed and more quality. So there really is a big push these days to automate. So that's the big picture. I know nothing about automation. So Marcel, please take over.
Yeah, the automation will probably resolve all the issues in testing. So automation will become the solution. But really, does this actually fix all the issues with testing? Or what are the current scares, what we are worried about in test automation? I select just a few things we are still discussing a lot and worries us, and let me share them with you. First one, discussion about tools. This is very controversial. People talking that Selenium era is over, that Cypress is now coming, or it's already here. And some people even say that Cypress era is over and Playwright is coming into play. But how to properly select, how to select the right tools and keep with them. And maybe you might feel like this is one of the issue, but I was thinking that this is only UI issue, but if you go into other topics or other test types, you would find out that there are even more bigger fights or even more solutions, and there is no one to fit all. So if you would go into performance testing, you might find many tools which are trying to win on the market over the others. Or if you go into API testing, you might know that there is a SOAP UI, probably already dead, but still there on the market, Postman, Postwoman, Insomnia, and many other tools you could consider to test API. So how to select the right tool is one of the topics we are discussing. And even in mature organizations, people tend to discuss whether it's not the time to replace the tool X by tool Y, and then how to choose the right one, the new one, which will stay with us at least a few, maybe months or years, to not replace every quarter with the new toy. And then once we have it, another scary story is coming, because you have the automation tool, you have the tests, but the stability and reliability on the results, it's often questionable. at least in some organizations. So another issue in test automation is how to achieve some kind of stability and how to count on the results from this test automation. And apart from that, there is another big scary topic, I would say, and that's maintenance. When you got the new release, all your test automation scripts are broken, or many of them are broken. Locators are unstable. Sometimes manual retesting becomes quicker, and some teams tend to move from fixing the automated scripts back to manual testing. So how to achieve level of automation that there is no need to spend so much time on maintenance. And another problem with the test automation is that you are finding out that your team is not capable to do that. So you need to develop your testers. And once you are there, they are leaving to become developers, or maybe they giving up and becoming product owners or Scrum Masters. So how to cope with these all issues in test automation? And maybe there is a solution. Everyone is saying, telling you this, and I'll just repeat what the others say. AI and machine learning will fix it. Maybe, maybe not. But by the way, do you know what's the difference between these two? I was Googling it, and I find the answer. That's easy. If it's written in Python, it's probably machine learning. But if it's written in PowerPoint, that's AI. I hope you understood the joke.
Finally, Marcel, you were funny. Well done.
Okay, at least you enjoy my joke. But to be honest with you, AI and machine learning, that's something with a huge potential, but it's still very over-promising topic. There are expectations, like there were with the test automation, that it will replace entire teams. Like we were discussing a test automation as a solution where you can get rid of your testing team because you will become fully depend only on a tool, and you could gain the benefits of having the tool, and you can just ask all the testers go home. That's a similar topic we are discussing about AI and machine learning, but it's not there. Even there are many nice examples I'm excited about in this topic. So what is the conclusion? What will happen in the future if the test automation is the solution? And if it's the solution, that's my question. But if it's the right solution, then the tools would help us to work better, and testers will become, or test will become more stable, and all the testers will be able to automate, and finally AI machine learning will start to work properly. Then I believe that's how the future will look like, and testing will be bright. So that's my conclusion, Phil. I hope you agree.
Okay. Well, from my completely untechnical point of view, let's look at it from a different point of view. Some people are saying that testing has no future.
Really?
Some people are saying it. Google actually was saying this at the end, 10 or 11 years ago. Google came out and said testing is dead. If you dig around on YouTube, you'll find a very, very interesting and thought-provoking video called Testing is Dead. It's from Google's internal software testing conference, and it's very thought-provoking. And what's scary is it's over 10 years old, and what they said 10 years ago is actually probably quite true. But if we look at the situation around us, if you're reading anything about software testing, any articles or any news about software testing on the market, you'll hear the following. So Marcel, if you could click through the slides. AI machine learning, we already heard this. There's a big promise. Marcel said it's over-promising, but there are players on the market who are talking to the big bosses and saying that AI and machine learning will replace testers. Again, older generation like myself heard this about test automation 15, 20 years ago, Marcel has his doubts. What maybe worried me a little bit more as a software tester is shift left, which means that there's a movement to make the developers start testing again. If developers can do their own testing and test after themselves, then we won't need software testers anymore. And then the next other movement, which is the movement that Google were talking about, as I mentioned in that video, was shift right. They said that the best testers are the users. So developers do some testing and then we release it. So it's alpha beta testing, canary testing, whatever you want to call it. And then you collect user feedback. You monitor what's happening in production and you can find the errors. So the users replace us. So nobody needs testers anymore. And the final one is cross-functional teams. In cross-functional teams, if you look at the original Agile manifesto, there is no tester there. There are developers and a product owner. And when you get to Scrum, of course, there's a Scrum Master, still no tester. If you look at SAFe or anything like that, it's very, very difficult to find software testing there. Agile is not counting with us, guys. You know, testing is dead. Or is it? Because I don't believe it is. Because I'm an old timer and I'm just think about what testing is. So testing, first of all, is technical work. Yeah, it always was. I mean, nowadays it's getting more and more technical. True. It's much more technical than it used to be. But even in the old days, you needed analytical skills, which is a technical skill. You maybe needed to get look at logs, read logs. You maybe needed to use a command line. You had to go in the database, do SQL. So there was some technical aspects to that work already. And the other side of the work, and I think it's something that we should talk about as much as the technical aspect, is it's people work. And what I mean is, and I always use this example, and if you've seen me on any other conference, I've probably said this before, we are dealing with humans' mistakes. And if we can't tell somebody they've made a mistake without making them feel like a failure, then we shouldn't really be software testers, because we still have to get on with those people after we've told them they've made a mistake. So you have to have those soft skills in place to be able to work with other people, because software is designed, is requested by users, which are humans, is designed by business analysts or product owners, it's developed by programmers still, and it's used by other humans. So it is people work, and it's something we should not forget. So if you look at this vision of the future where software testers don't exist, then my first point is that machines are not good at soft skills. We've seen the Terminator films, and of course the Terminators are very good on hard skills, killing people, and not very good on soft skills. So let's not forget our inner Sarah Connors, because our strength, the thing that the machines can't replace, and based on my reading, it's long time in the future before machines can learn soft skills. And you've all read the horror stories about chatbots and so forth going crazy, is that machines it's going to be a long time before machines become even close to replacing our soft skills. And on the technical side, then we've progressed from, if you change the slide, we progressed from doing everything completely manually. Let's take the example of or the idiom of cleaning up. So originally we did everything manually. We had the brush and we did the work, and we were doing the manual labor. So everything was basically manual labor. And I think we're maybe now at the point where we're using tools somehow to make the work easier. Yeah. So really, you write scripts to do your regression tests. Yeah. So you take away some of the horrible hard work, the boring, monotonous sweeping. You get the Hoover around and you do it much faster, much quicker. But you're still heavily hands-on involved. You have to write those scripts, you have to maintain those scripts, and so forth. And what the future might be is your robotic Hoover. Yeah. Because I'm not saying that testing the robotic Hoover actually knows what to clean up. You can put it on the floor and press the on button, and off it goes. It can do the activity of cleaning the floor, but somebody has to decide how to do the cleaning and what sort of cleaning needs to be done. So our work would actually probably move into this higher level, and we'd be leaving the low level activities or the low level skills to the machines. So what that means for me is that we need to work on our skills. So we're pretty much back to the same thing as Marcel says. We really need to go from this, and I know it sounds horrible, because we were always proud to be software testers, and we all thought it was a high-skilled job, but really wasn't such a high-skilled job. But the future of testing is a high-skilled job, both technical, being able to apply high technical skills, and also to be able to use those soft skills. Because if you look at the job market these days, look at what employers are looking for, they're actually calling out for people with great soft skills, because the job market, or the world actually knows that because the machines are coming, and it's not just in software testing that the machines are coming, it's everywhere the machines are coming, then the human task will actually move to higher skilled activities. So my point, what's the biggest monster? Yeah, the biggest monster is you, because testing will die if you don't develop your skills. If we don't move with the times and develop those higher skills, then our function will disappear, because somebody else will take over. And you have to learn to empower yourself with great tools. As I said before, speed, quality. You can only achieve those aims if you're using tools. So the future of testing is in your hands.
Yeah, I think testing is not dead, but we need to adapt as any other guys in IT or in the world need to. So that's our conclusion. I think we need to adapt. We need to develop with any other IT topics. So thank you very much for watching and listening.
Hopefully we provoke some reaction, and we'll get some good questions on the Q&A.
Yeah. So bye-bye. Should I stop record?
Probably. We should leave the stop recording. Okay, no?
Are we gonna fix all the issues in testing by applying automation, test automation, or not? Or what might be the scaries or scares we are facing during test automation or applying the test automation? So let me first tell you about one I found interesting, that we are talking about tools a lot. We are discussing which one is the best one. We are trying to search for the easiest or more sexy solutions, but it's not easy to decide the right one. You might remember the discussion about the Selenium, that maybe the Selenium era is over, or Cypress era is already also over, then Playwright is coming. But if you go to the other topics in terms of testing tools, you might see that there are many other tools out there who are trying to win and trying to attract our interest. If you think about performance testing tools, you might find many which could be used for performance testing. Or if you go to the API testing, you might find a lot as well. So how to decide which tool to use, how to deal with these all opportunities and all offers from the market we could involve into our testing. If you go further, then this is not only thing we need to deal with, but there is much more. If you go into the area of stability, or whether we could count on the results, you might find out that many of the solutions or the practices we are trying to apply are flaky, or we cannot easily focus on or count on the results. So that's another big challenge in test automation. So I'm asking you again, is the test automation the right thing? Is this something what we should focus on? If you go into the maintenance then topic, once you have all your tests stabilized and ready for running, you might find out that with the new release, there are some regression impacts on your existing test automation scripts, not only on the application itself. And sometimes retesting manually is quicker than retesting with your test automation tools. And another issue in test automation, you might find out often that automation requires some extra skills we didn't need before. So you start developing your team, you start developing your testers. And once you are there, you might find out that they decide to resign and leave you and going to some other job like developer, scrum master, or helping some other organization to improve their testing. So this is another kind of worry, like whether we should apply test automation and what and how we should do it if we don't have enough skilled people. And you might notice also on the market that we are running out of almost any people, not only with the good technical skills. So then another topic is coming, and a lot of our managers asking us where and how we and whether we already apply some AI and machine learning. But by the way, do you know what's the difference between AI and machine learning? If not, I would like to share with you one joke I found on the internet, and I found it funny. So if it's written in Python, it's probably machine learning. But if it's written in PowerPoint, it'll be definitely AI. So I don't know whether you like the joke, but for me, this was a nice definition of AI and machine learning. So I need to tell you true. This AI machine learning is brilliant idea, but we have too high expectations how this could help us. And it's still not there where we would like to have it. And it'll take some time to get that into shape that it'll work well. And we could gain all the benefits from it. So what would be the conclusion of this talk? So I believe that if tools would work better, and if tests become more stable, and all testers will be able to automate, and AI and machine learning will finally start to work, then I believe a future of testing is bright. So I believe that this is what, Phil, you don't agree?
No. Well, it's not maybe my opinion, but a lot of people are saying that testing has no future. That software testing is dead. I'm a little bit shocked and upset to hear this too. If you dig around on the internet, if you read any sort of news posts or blogs or even some of the presentations on this and other conferences, you actually look around and there's actually a lot of things happening which is going to put software testing basically into history. So first one you mentioned was AI and machine learning. Basically, they think that the machines can replace us. The second one is, you hear about a lot, is shift left. They've suddenly decided that if the developers start testing, then we don't need software testers. And the other one you hear quite a lot as well is shift right. Yeah, so the idea is that the users are actually better testers than testers. I mean, the users, end users of the software, our job is to emulate their expectations and verify their requirements. But the idea is that the developers will do some testing and then we'll just roll it out, canary testing, alpha, beta testing, anything like that. And we don't need software testers anymore. And the final one, which I think is sometimes quite frightening, is cross-functional. Because if you look at the Agile Manifesto, there's no software test. If you look at Scrum, there's no software test. If you look at SAFe, there's no software testing. Only the recent versions of the SAFe methodology are actually dealing with some sort of software testing type subjects. But do I agree? And I don't. Actually, I think that testing, actually, even under all these attacks from various sides, has a bright future. And I'll go back to the thing I keep saying over and over again, and I'm hoping that one day people will be screaming, Phil, you've told us this 1,000 times. Yes, we get it. What is testing? Yeah. So testing is a hard skill activity. It always was, even though maybe it wasn't so high skilled. A good software tester was one who had good analytical skills, and he also had some sort of technical skills. He could do SQL, get into the database, check the test results. He could create test data. He could find the logs. He could read the logs. He could maybe even read the code. He could work with a command line, and that was usually the better software tester, was that sort of guy who had those technical skills. But we can't forget that software testing is also people work. And what I mean by this is, and this is the example I always use, is we deal with people's mistakes. And if we can't tell people that they've made a mistake without making them feel like a failure, then we really shouldn't be software testers, because, you know, if you in that situation, nobody wants to deal with you. No one wants to talk to you ever again. So we have to be able to communicate people's mistakes in a way that they don't feel upset or in any way challenged by it. So the machines are taking over. Well, this is where humans or software testers, it's the key strength of the software tester, because if you've seen the Terminator films, you know that the machines don't have soft skills. They're actually good at hard skills. They're actually very good at killing people, but they're not very strong on the soft skills. And if you look at any of sort of the predictions about artificial intelligence, then the very optimistic people say it's 10 years to general intelligence. It might be 50 years. It might be 100 years. It's something nobody really knows for sure. And if we're using the tools, then actually the soft skills side of our jobs becomes more and more important, yeah, because there still has to be an interaction between results that are being given to us by tools. We need to analyze those results, and we need to communicate the results. That part of the job doesn't go away, and that can't be replaced by machines. And the second part is, yes, it was a technical job, but okay, it's a slightly low skill technical job. And as I use this idiom, it's cleaning up. Yeah. In the past, it was fully manual. We had a brush and we swept up the room. Yeah, it was fully manual. It was quite hard work. It took a long time. And today we're perhaps at the point where we're using tools to make our job easier. Yeah, we can use tools for test execution. We can use tools to help us with other activities, creating test data and so forth. So it's like using the Hoover, yeah? You know, it's still pretty much hands-on. You still have to switch the Hoover on. You still have to walk around the room hoovering. No, but you're doing it much faster and you're doing a much better job using the tools. And the future should be, but we'll see, is this robotic Hoover, yeah? And you might look at that and say, okay, but that does the cleaning up. You don't have to do anything. But I see it a little bit different. I think, you know, first of all, somebody has to be in charge of when we'll clean and where we'll clean. And the machine is not going to be able to decide that itself. And I think to make it clean absolutely great, then we'll need to get inside that machine and teach it something, or because AI is about teaching, it's not really about programming, teach it something to teach it to do the job the right way, to do it the way we need to do. So that's what I see the future of software testing is to use those tools and use the technology that's available to actually do a better job. And it really still requires humans to do that. So I'm going back to exactly what Marcel, it's about working on your skills, your future skills. I do harp on about soft skills because I'm frightened that in this day and age where we're really focused on the technical skills and we have to develop our technical skills, then we'll forget those soft skills side. So, which is the biggest test automation monster? Marcel's described a few, and I'm sure you're all familiar with those. And I hope during the Q&A we can talk about some of your test automation monsters. But my opinion is the biggest monster of all is you. Because if we don't develop our skills and if we don't take our job seriously, then testing will die. Because it'll be easy for people to believe that the machines are able to do our jobs because we don't have much value. So you have to become higher skilled and you have to increase your value and therefore keep testing alive. And the second part is you need to learn how to empower yourself with great tools. Let's be honest, a large part of software testing is very boring because you repeat the same things over and over again. Why not give yourself a break and start using these tools which are available? So, the future of testing relies on you. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. We're now looking forward to some questions and some comments and some feedback. The presentation is meant to provoke a reaction. So hopefully we'll get one.
Awesome. So I think we already have some questions in the chat. So thank you. Yeah, and like one comment. Sorry that the stream ended so quickly. I guess like the best way to test a conference tool is to host a session with testers. All right. So first question: do you think the digital transformation will kill offline business completely, or traditional bookshops have a chance to survive?
I also I would use a comparison to post-COVID. Yeah, we were locked down. We went into home office. We started working remotely, and some people are saying that we'll stay remote. We'll all stay at home, and I don't believe it, because humans are hypersocial beings. We're like ants and bees. Yeah. And we need that human interaction. And going into a bookshop and buying a book is a human interaction. Yeah? And you also get to touch physical things. And I think as humans, we need that. I don't think digital businesses will replace physical businesses, but I believe like in the post-COVID world, it's going to be a hybrid situation. We'll use both, let's say, physical businesses and digital businesses together. And I think having the mix of the two will actually improve quality of life, because if you're in a rush and you can't manage, then you can buy it on Kindle. And if you really, some people do really like to read a book, physically read a book, then I think people will go down to the bookstore and have a coffee in the coffee shop and read a book. I think that won't go away. And if it feels like it's disappeared now, I do believe it's coming back.
And I would like to add something on top of that. And it was also in our talk, we were just trying to tell also about the digital transformation, that world is changing and we need to adapt. We need to react on the situation. Otherwise, the job we are doing now will die. That's the key point of the talk. I don't know whether it was clear, so I'm just trying to stress it out, that we need to react, and we just try to provoke you to think about what does it mean for you. Because you might, if you are in testing as we do for, 15 plus years, you might notice that a lot of things already changed. And sometimes I feel like some of my colleagues don't understand that if I learn some tool, it's not forever that I can stop and being expert for next 10, 20 years. So that's if we are talking about bookstore and going back to the question, I believe the digital transformation will affect all the businesses, and every business need to adapt to survive. That's my hopefully short.
Yeah, I think that's a really nice point. So tools are meant not to I guess you always have the tool, but you have to have the deep understanding of the topic, and then you can use new tools and the world changes. All right. Next question. What do you think about testers integrated in the development teams, working closely to developers in a kind of pair programming testing approach for review and fixing unit tests, code reviews, and so on?
I think it's a great idea, but any great idea, if you take it into extreme, stop work. So I think extreme automation is not correct. Extreme pushing to the development team is not correct. And if I would now refer to SDQB, this is kind of outdated idea, but it's still valid. Some kind of independence helps you to improve the quality of product. But it doesn't mean that you need to have independent team outside your organization to test. But I think it's not good if you have only developers doing testing. You need to always balance these approaches. You might even ask your end users to test, but there is no even within special organization, I don't believe there is only one solution to apply and you will be on safe side. I don't believe in such an approach.
Before I was a software tester, I was actually some sort of generic IT guy. So I did coding, analysis, project leading, whatever came along, I took the job. Yeah. So I just remember that I was really paranoid about users finding bugs, and we didn't have software testers. We basically went to the users, it's like Agile, but before Agile. We went to the users and said, "Oh, we need this," and said, "Okay, well, what does it look like?" And we drew on a piece of paper, an envelope, and we drew it and we discussed it, and then I went away and coded it. And then I was really, really paranoid, really, really scared that someone would find a bug in my code. And I tested and I tested and I tested and I tested and I tested. Yeah. And they still found a damn bug in my code. Yeah. So to my extent, it's not effective to actually try and check your own quality. I mean, yeah, okay, I don't want to release stupid rubbish to a tester. Hopefully, this throwing crap over the wall principle, that's not just being professional, that's just being not professional. But like, you really, really cannot find your own mistakes, and you need somebody else to look. If you imagine you write a blog or something, we do quite a lot of content. Running a company, you generate quite a lot of content that's on LinkedIn, and you can write the perfect piece, yeah. And somebody who doesn't even speak English fluently, it's not their first language, comes along and says, "This doesn't look right," or "What's this? And this word's here, what's that word?" And they'll find 10, 15 mistakes in you're the English speaker, and they'll find 10, 15 mistakes. And I think humans make mistakes, and we've got this, I don't know what the word is, like a creative bias or something like that. You really cannot see your own mistakes. You actually filter them out. And you need this independent point of view. So yes, embed them in there. I think we had this on the panel discussion yesterday. The more conversation goes off around what we're trying to achieve, and you have the different points of view of the business guy, the developer, and so forth, and you come to a consensus about what you're actually trying to achieve, but everybody retains their individual point of view or tries to, then that'll create a better product, a better understanding, and a better product. So yes, embed, but don't merge the roles too closely. No, don't have a developer who's also testing his own stuff. Yeah, definitely ineffective from my point of view.
Yeah, really good point. So we have a lot of questions coming in right now.
Ooh,
so good one. Next one is like highly voted. What is the future of manual testing? I guess this question is asked quite a lot.
I would like to think. Okay, I'll shut up. Marcel, please.
Okay, I think there is no such a thing anymore like a manual testing. Not because of that it disappeared or died, but I think there is a testing. And the testing applying good practices nowadays includes automation. So I believe that everybody should be focused on that one of the skill is test automation. And there is but these guys need to also sometimes manually test, because we finding out another extreme. There are basically, again, it's about the extremes. Some people tend to distinguish people between manual and automation testers, or testers, or test engineers who automate, which I don't believe it's a proper approach nowadays. We should be able to do that. And then another extreme is if you accept the idea that these guys who focus on the automation, they just do scripting, they don't do testing. They don't understand the goal, why they are doing the scripts. They just rewriting some test cases provided by manual testers, and in the long run it doesn't work. You might help the team by adding some developers rewriting the scripts into automated test cases. But I believe that nowadays we need to build universal team with skills of testers, like the manual one, but also being able to help ourselves and speeding up the execution and all tedious tasks, which we don't want to do manually anymore. So I believe there is no such a thing like a manual testers in the future, because it will be part of tester skills in general. That's my opinion. You can challenge that if you don't agree.
No, I just don't like the word manual tester, because manual testing and automation testing, we're only talking about the execution part. Yeah, it's actually executing the script, and the magic in testing is deciding what to test, deciding what's most important to test, deciding how to test it well, how to test it effectively, which is analytical skill that currently only humans can provide. Yeah, I'm saying maybe AI and machine learning in the future could take some user requirement and from that understand what should be coded and how it should be tested. Maybe that could happen. I think we're a very long way from that. But basically, there is a manual aspect of testing. There always will be, which should be the test analysis and design. And then, as I say, I think that I would hope that we get to the stage, and fairly quickly, that people don't really have to execute the test, because some machine could take over your test case, which you've written in maybe in Gherkin or something nicely, and it's actually easy for that for some algorithm to turn into an execution script. So I think we're closer to that than replacing those let's say classic testing skills, which I don't think will go away. I hope not, anyway.
Yeah, I feel like the same way. It's a great answer. So next question: how do you think which soft skills are most valuable for a good tester, like a good tester should have?
Number one is communication. I think I already mentioned it there. You need to communicate. Yeah, we found this bug. Yeah, maybe you didn't understand the requirement. Maybe we should try and find a better way to set up the test data in the test database or something like that. I think your job is primarily a communicator. Yeah, a tester provides. I mean, the definition of software testing. What is it? Do we find defects? Do we mitigate risks? I think we provide feedback. Yeah? That's our job. Yeah, somebody makes a requirement, somebody turns that into some sort of user story, which then gets turned into some code, and our job is to provide feedback whether it actually meets the expectation of the person that made the requirement, and that I would say that's the primary soft skills. Yeah, for that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would maybe add some more, like being able to listen and understand the other side, because sometimes we as a testers, we are just providing feedback, saying everything is wrong and there are plenty of bugs and this need to be fixed. But sometimes we need to also be able to understand and listen the point of view from other, like business users and Scrum Masters, to be able to understand how critical is the bug, what are the impacts. So the communication, I definitely agree, but there might be some more than only.
There is. I have a list of 7, but I would be here talking for about 2 hours.
Yeah, maybe you can share them later on. All right, so next question. So by the way, the session would normally end at 11:40, but we have I think more minutes due to the late intro. So if it's fine for you, I would just go through more questions. Next one. For me, the biggest automation monster is the idea that we need to automate everything, but then you do so, and it seems that you are not automating anymore, but you are only fixing your own tests. So how to make this monster smaller? That's the question.
Yeah, I'll take this one. That's also a lot of discussion around this topic. I believe there are already some ideas how to deal with that, but we had some panel discussion on Monday with one expert on test automation, and he had very good point that people always trying to automate everything rather than focusing that most biggest benefits from automation. So the difficult question is whether to automate everything, and if you want to go to that direction and searching for the solution, then probably I think the next era is coming. It's called autonomous, and some first assistance or first features you might see from that topic or that ideas is something like self-healing tests or some reinforcement learning of the tools who are able to try to understand the overall navigation of app, and then you just send the instruction in natural language, and some AI machine learning is transforming it into the actually scripts or the algorithm to interact with app. So this is something which need to come if we really want to have a ultimate automation. But even after that, I believe there need to be always some human touch. So it's like with the cars, you might find out there are many already claimed as a autonomous, but still a lot of human interaction. But this is different story. So if I would try to shorten the answer, I would try to focus on these small improvements and try to reduce the maintenance by adding more assistance of autonomy. Self-healing is definitely the first one. And then also for the maintenance, sometimes we are in a lot of, there is a lot of effort spent on analyzing the reports and logs. So I would maybe suggest to check the report portal for classification, for quick analysis of test results, and maybe some more, but I just can't tell you another idea. I have some different talk about this one.
Yeah, I guess like you could make a whole session about only this topic.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, short question. Would you recommend a book about test automation concepts to keep learning with good practices?
I would be a bit maybe rude or too radical. Nowadays, it's better go out on internet. And my best book might be YouTube or some other alternatives, and I'll explain why. Because I have a few, and I don't know by heart the names for the principles, because principles don't change so much. So I could offline share the book I found interesting on that. But in terms of new approach, new ideas, new tools, I think it's developing so fast that it's not easy to find one book which you could say it covers everything. Because if you do, in 6 months, anyhow, you need to go out to find the new ideas out there, because it's developing so heavily that I don't believe that there is one book. And there is another one interesting tool I would suggest, and it has name tool, but it's not tool like Selenium or Appium or Cypress, but the tool to improve your approach in test automation. And it's from Dorothy Graham, and it's kind of Wikipedia page with a lot of advices how you should shape your test automation in terms of processes. And I'll just try Googling it, and maybe we can skip to the next question, and I'll share that into the chat.
Sure. All right, next one is, you've mentioned moving from a testing job into other activities like software development. How do you think we can draw people into testing and QA so they want to stay, especially automation testers which have skills in programming? So
that's a very, very good question. We run a software testing business, and it's hiring people and retaining people is, I would say, 60% of what you're dealing with, especially these days. I would say you got people who, like myself, who got accidental into software testing from something else, and realized that this was the best part of the whole IT delivery. Because when I came from being a generic IT guy, I got into software testing, and I really thought, wow, this is amazing, because it was this combination of different skills you had to apply, and quite different challenges. I like challenges, so it's frequently quite challenging. And I was coding for a long time, and I found coding extremely boring. I don't understand why anybody wants to be a software developer. I'm sorry. It is such repetitive, monotonous, boring, soul-crushing work. You sit on your bottom for 8 hours a day in front of a screen, coding basically the same bits of code. Yeah, because you solve you copy paste at the end. You just copy paste what you did before. Yeah, and I didn't like it, and I found a lot more creativity. Or challenging creativity in software testing. And I think that's a mindset. I think you'll have to look for people with that sort of mindset, maybe people a little bit more extroverted, more communicative, is that the right word? And so forth. So when you're looking for the people who say, okay, I want a job in IT, and this is another problem, that they want a job in IT. They see IT as the future, and they say, okay, I obviously want to be a developer because they get loads of money and sit in Silicon Valley somewhere. I don't know what their idea of IT is. And they say, okay, what's an easy way in? Oh, we found this company called TestCon that's great for developing juniors. So I'll join TestCon. I'll get through the interview and I'll spend a year in TestCon and I'll leave and I'll become a software developer. And you have to actually try and filter that out at the start. You have to say, like, what is your motivation? Yeah. And you have to look at how the people, okay, they may be a total junior and they've never done any IT work, but you can ask them questions. You ask them to tell you stories. And from that, you can see how they approach life and how they approach work. And it's nothing to do with software testing, but you can actually find out that they're the people that would probably like being a software tester. I'm going to, Marcel, I'll let you had your
right. I have a bit different view on that, because I think our long kind of mission should be improving. I would stop there. Improving software, improving the people dealing with the quality and testing. And I believe that we need to accept that after some time, people might decide to leave testing and joining development or Scrum Master role or product owner or whatever else. And it's a normal life. And I believe this is good, because if we help them to grow there and they are happy being there, it's good for them because they found the next stage of their professional life. But it's also good for the testing, because I know some developers who were testers before, and then it's much easier to discuss with them about testing, or they can see our value. They can see that, okay, I developed that. I need to ask somebody else to check that it works, because I'm too focused maybe on that happy day scenarios. Maybe I'm focused on how it should work, but I am not able to think about the alternative scenarios. Some do, but I think this also helps back to testing to be. But if you don't upset the guys in a way that they will leave testing because they broke up with the topic, if it's just the next stage of their career, then I think it's a good move. I wouldn't try to anyhow manipulate or slow down that, because it's one of the journey or career path for some people. So I think it's okay.
And there are developers who go the other way, who start doing something with software testing, actually move over into software testing. So I think it's two-way. So it is difficult. I don't have an answer.
Yeah, it depends on the person, I guess. Like everyone is different. So.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Also, what is your opinion about UI automation? Maybe you have tips how to handle rapid changes.
I went to pub last week with one of my, I would call him testing friend, and we were discussing this API testing. Like, everybody's automating UI. I don't understand why. We need to do API. We need to do API. And I said, hey, David, I know the story, but if you go out there, you will find out that many companies are focusing on UI, and it looks like, in theory, it looks like this is the right approach. Let's focus on API and forget about UI because it's slow, it's expensive to maintain, and so on. Everybody knows the principles, the theory, but in practice, if you go out, you will find out that many companies are heavily focused on UI. And if you go into another theory, you probably know James Bach. He's talking about this topic, and he's saying he is criticizing testing pyramid, because he's saying we should focus on the layer which is seen by end customer. So he's basically turning the pyramid opposite and saying, no, forget about the lower layers, focus on the UI. So there are different opinions. I believe that that classical pyramid is still valid, but you might find some other ideas. And for the UI, I think there is one big point. It's easy to sell to management when you are showing them that some tool is clicking on the buttons and filling in some edit boxes. it's easier than showing them some terminals running the API tests. So for me, this
It's
is
more sexy, you're saying.
yeah. People like a management who don't know the technical details, and they see that the operating system has some window, and that Windows is moving without touching the keyboard. That's the sexy story to sell.
I've never seen a sexy demonstration of test automation ever, and I've sat through a lot. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll try to do one for you.
Nice. All right. Next question we have from Norbert. What do you think about the future of pure test management? Managerial roles in testing, will these roles be still required, needed?
Very good question. I am a little bit pessimistic. I'm a test manager, or was, and I'm a little bit pessimistic. Yes, we have a lot of test managers in our company, and yes, they're all still working on projects, but there are lots of projects where they actually tell you, we don't need any test manager. We're agile here, and they have an allergy to the word manager more than anything else. They sold this dream that they're self-deterministic, self-organizing, and managers are dead. And this goes back to the mindset of the people who sort of came up with the Agile Manifesto. It was kind of a rebellion against being overmanaged. You know, they were the creative guys, and they knew how to do it better, and all these managers were telling them how to do it. So I'm a little bit pessimistic. I think that test managers, with all their experience and knowledge and oversight, do have a role. It's more of a consultancy role, I believe. And we do this quite a lot. You get clients coming along and saying, you know, we're doing some testing, but we're not sure we're doing it right, or we realize we probably could do it better. Come and talk to us, and you can go in and you'll see the big picture, and you've seen various organizations, and it's this type of consultancy. I've seen it set up here somewhere and seen it set up there, and it had problems there, and this was good and that was bad. So you're moving more into a consultancy role, which is nice because you get much more exposure for different testing situations as you would as a test manager. Or you could actually become more, like, say, a mentor, a coach, like even an agile coach, yeah, because you're a quality-focused person, yeah, and you can see the whole process, and you're finding risks, you're seeing problems, and you can actually help people. As I said, testers should be great communicators, and I think there's probably other roles within the software development lifecycle where the people with great test management skills and knowledge can really have an added value. But the role of test manager, I think, is unfortunately, I'm not going to comment, is disappearing.
Yeah, you see. All right. Next one will be, or Marcel, do you want to add something to the comment?
We can skip my answer to reply.
Yeah, to go. Okay. Will be possible in future to make automation of everything? Even all team members can do automation. Can machine replace our logic? So I mean, like, the kind of AI question: will there be a future where everyone can do everything in automation?
Yeah, I'll just quickly say something. We sort of said this before. I think there's some parts of testing that machines can replace, and some parts that I find very difficult. I think test execution or generating scripts. I believe it's going to be quicker than we think. I believe it.
I believe there are some parts we cannot replace yet. That's the important word in that. I think it'll okay. Maybe it's too like a dreaming or visionary, but I believe we are fighting to get there. I don't know how quickly and how far we could go, but I believe that humans are very clever beings. So I believe that we will find a lot of solutions for the problems we now consider as only human can deal with.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, next one. Automation is easy to apply in small organizations. How do you implement automation with a huge corporate policy, so with long procedures and stuff like that?
That's for the extra conf call. So if somebody is interested, I can give a talk about that or explain it. But there are several approaches you can
All right,
use.
so,
but it's not easy to answer in one sentence or two sentences.
I guess if you're doing a talk about it, let us know in the chat. Maybe someone is interested.
I don't have any specific talk, but usually this is kind of, it would be kind of sales pitch, and I don't want to do it here because I think it's more about if somebody is interested in this topic, I can explain how we could help with that and what is our approach. But I don't want to now selling you there are various options. Like it depends whether how you are organized and what kind of business you are trying to solve within your IT and how mature are you already and many other questions I would ask first, and then I would give an answer, or I could do the general talk, but it's not like for 2 sentences or 1 minute answer.
Yeah.
Sorry for that, but I'm suggesting to skip this question, and contact me via LinkedIn, and I can give the more specific answer to that directly to the person who is asking. It's much efficient than now trying to build some short story which will not be clear.
Yeah, it's a good point. So officially the time is over, but I think our session is still running, so maybe we can answer the last questions as well. Maybe this one, have you come across stress testing of telecom functions? Have you ever had to choose a stress testing tool for telecommunications companies? I think this refers to like the early part of your presentation. I'm not sure. Was there a part about stress testing, like a few of load testing tools you showed, I think?
Yeah, the stress test in general, we do stress testing for many customers, but I can't remember any telecom customers. But it really depends what do you specifically need. Sometimes customers are trying to tell us that they are very special, and we are finding out that it's technological wise very similar to the thing we did somewhere else. So if you need to do some desktop application performance test, this might be specific, but we did it. If you need to have just some website load testing, then it's easy project. And so it really depends what we didn't do any kind of hardware performance test, like to try to load some hardware, like something very specific. If you have